On our 10th wedding anniversary, I asked for a divorce. Aaron sneered. You've put up with it for 10 years. What's with the tantrum now? He thought I was angry about him bringing that young woman into our marital bed and had someone change the bed with a wave of his hand. Seeing that I still insisted, his eyes turned sinister. You'd better not regret this. Everyone thought I would cry and throw a fit on the way to the registrar's office and then change my mind at the last minute, continuing our love-hate relationship with Aaron. But no one knew that this time, I really didn't care about him anymore, even though I was mentally prepared. I never expected him to bring her into our bedroom, onto our marital bed. Through the door, I heard the girl's jealous voice. You've been with her for 10 years, and you've only been with me for 10 days. I'm so jealous of her. Aaron's voice was full of doting. Didn't I promise not to go? What's wrong? Weren't you satisfied just now? It wasn't until the sounds inside became muffled that I kicked the door open. The girl who had been on top quickly ducked under the covers, even through the blanket. I could see her trembling. Aaron looked up, his eyes still flushed. And he wasn't angry to see me. He patted the person under the covers and then got out of bed, picking up his bathrobe from the floor and putting it on, his expression nonchalant. Why are you back so early? Weren't you satisfied with the gift, or was the party not grand enough? Seeing that I didn't speak, he sighed. Iris, your appetite is getting bigger and bigger. I don't know how to satisfy you anymore. The satisfy he was talking about here and the satisfy he had just said to the girl were two completely different things. But I still felt a wave of nausea. Aaron laughed at my reaction. Feeling nauseous now, isn't it a bit late? He handed me the water glass from the bedside table. Drink some. It'll help. When I didn't take it, he followed my gaze and saw the faint lipstick mark on the glass. He apologized playfully. Sorry. I didn't see that. I couldn't take it anymore. I snatched the glass and threw the water in his face. Aaron, let's get a divorce. Hearing my words, Aaron raised an eyebrow, a spark of interest in his eyes. Suicide attempts. Disappearances. You're tired of those games. So now you're playing the divorce card. You're playing with fire this time. Can you handle the consequences? Aaron was a very malicious person at his core. He always liked to see me driven mad by him. He would calmly watch me cut my wrists, only to stop because I was afraid of the pain. He would watch me stand on the rooftop, threatening to jump, but too afraid of heights to take a step. He would cut off all my cards when I disappeared, waiting for me to come crawling back to him. He would wait with a calm expression for me to surrender and break down in tears. Then he would gently pull me into his arms and say with great pleasure, "What's all the fuss about? I'm yours. All my money is yours. What more could you want?" Aaron had said it a long time ago. Just think of me as a dog. Let me off the leash to run around sometimes. But every dog knows where its home is. But this time, I didn't want to do as he wished anymore. I looked at him, still resolute. Yes, a divorce. On the way to the registrar's office, Aaron tapped on the car window intermittently. I'm curious. What excuse will you come up with this time? Car breaks down out of gas or a deranged attempt to cause an accident. Seeing that I didn't speak, he took out his phone and called the housekeeper. Tell Chloe to get out and throw away the bed. Order a better one. Chloe was the girl who had been hiding under the covers. She was 20 this year, in the prime of her youth. Coincidentally, I was also 20 when I met Aaron. The difference was, Aaron doted on Chloe. But he had only and humiliated me back then. Aaron didn't say anything else after the call, but I knew he had said it for me to hear. In his eyes, he had already made a concession. Now it was up to me to accept it. After 10 years of marriage, we both knew each other's little tricks. But this time, I didn't take the olive branch he offered. Instead, I floored the accelerator. When we arrived at the registrar's office, Aaron still had a playful smile on his face. My hand trembled as I filled out the forms. Aaron put his arm around my shoulder, a chuckle escaping his throat. Planning to feign illness, need me to help you up later. It wasn't until I handed him the completed form with my signature that the playful look on his face cracked. His smile froze. Iris, are you sure you want to play this game? Don't expect me to coax you back like last time. The last time Aaron was referring to was 10 years ago. I had caught him on multiple dates, kissing other girls. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore and broke up with him, disappearing for 10 days. When Aaron found me, looking disheveled, he quickly married me. At that time, he held me so tight. Iris, I was wrong. I'll never do it again. Don't leave me. Recalling the past, my body trembled more and more, but I still said nothing. Aaron stared at me and slowly signed his name. Iris. You'd better not regret this. After the divorce certificate was issued, I took it and turned to leave. Behind me, I heard Aaron on the phone. Pack your things. From today on, you're moving in with me. He made another call. John, don't bother changing the bed. The hospital called and said Noah's condition was getting worse, and I needed to go back immediately. Noah was my childhood sweetheart. He had been in a coma for 13 years and had only woken up a week ago. I had been with him the whole time, but this time, getting the divorce had taken a long time. I rushed back to the hospital and turned off my phone. From today on, I would be with him, wholeheartedly. Soon, the doctor said he could be discharged. Noah was very happy. I told him I needed to go home and pack some things first. Be a good boy and wait for me to come back and get you. Okay. I needed to go to Aaron's house to get some things. But after trying the passwords several times and failing, I realized he had changed the locks. I took out my phone and called him. His tone was harsh. Well, finally run out of money. You lasted longer than I thought this time. But I can't come back now. Chloe is too clingy. Even more than you. Why don't you come over? You scared her half to death with that kick last time. She's probably afraid of you. If you come, she'll probably leave on her own. When I arrived at the private room, Aaron was talking with a friend, a cigarette between his fingers. He rarely smoked, only when he was in a very good mood. I can't wait to see what new tricks Iris will pull this time. I'm tired of her old games. Aaron tilted his head back, and the smoke enveloped his face, but it couldn't hide the smile on his lips. Chloe sat beside him, peeling grapes for him. Mr. Morrison, what's the difference between this and playing with a kitten or a puppy? I kicked the door open again and looked at Aaron. Come home with me. Aaron glanced at Chloe beside him. You'll have to ask her. I grabbed his collar and dragged him out of the room. A cheer erupted from the crowd. Even Aaron let out a low chuckle. TSK. Playing the dominant role. Are we, honey? I'll cooperate completely. When we arrived at the front door, Aaron stood behind me. The password is your birthday. You couldn't even guess that, and here I thought I loved you so much. The door closed, and Aaron suddenly pinned me against it and kissed me. Honey, I have to say, I've missed you all this time you've been gone. With that, his hand began to wander up my skirt. I was shocked and angry. I pushed him away. You reek of cheap perfume. Go take a shower. Aaron reluctantly lingered on my lips for a moment before turning and going into the bathroom, humming a little tune, in a cheerful mood. After all, in his eyes, every time we made up, it was through sex. But this time, after I had packed my things, I cut the power and left. I went back to the hospital and picked up Noah. After bringing him home, he became very withdrawn. I always thought you would have sold the house for me. Noah stared at me intently. Iris, have you dated anyone these past few years? I secretly pinched my palm, put the durian flesh in a small bowl, and fed it to him. No. After a pause, I spoke again. Really, Noah, believe me. Noah held the durian in his mouth, smiled gently, and nodded. The small 2-bedroom apartment was just enough for Noah and me. He was a little worried about what other people would think, so he was reluctant to go out. We just stayed at home, watched TV, tended to the flowers, and did his rehabilitation exercises. I also made him various nutritious meals according to a recipe book. I got a new SIM card with Noah's ID, so no one could contact me. But one day, while scrolling through my phone, I saw Aaron's name for the first time in a long time. On the skyscraper in City A, a line of text was flashing repeatedly. Iris, if you don't show up, I'll kill myself for you to see. Aaron wouldn't really kill himself, but I understood. He was threatening me. The time I broke up with Aaron 10 years ago, I hid from him very well. He couldn't find me, so he threw a tantrum at home, saying that without me, he wouldn't live either. He was the only son in the family, spoiled beyond measure, and naturally got whatever he wanted. After the Morrison family intervened, I lost my job and my house. As I was carrying my luggage with nowhere to go, Aaron appeared. He was crying and saying he couldn't live without me, while also threatening that he could find me no matter where I ran. I was afraid of Aaron showing up in front of Noah, so I decided to go see him. Noah knew I was going out, He didn't speak, just looked at me, which made me feel even more guilty. I left as if I were fleeing. I found Aaron without any difficulty. Apart from some dark circles under his eyes, he still looked as arrogant as ever. When he saw me, he immediately kicked Chloe, who was beside him, to the side, picked me up, and carried me into the room next door. Aaron threw me onto the bed and pressed down on me. Aaron, we're divorced. This is inappropriate. Aaron kissed me, his words muffled. If you want to get back together, we will. If you don't, you can decide what our relationship is. I'll do whatever you say. I want to leave. Fine. Let's go home. I mean, I don't want to be with you anymore. Aaron's hands finally stopped. He frowned at me. Are you serious? I nodded. As I nodded, Aaron's hand came down, slapping me. Iris, are you pushing your luck? I've supported you for so many years. Besides the occasional affair, haven't I given you my all? Aaron wasn't wrong. When we got married, it was because he had thrown a tantrum and begged his family. The Morrisons couldn't do anything about him, so they made us sign a prenuptial agreement. If we divorced, I would leave with nothing. And during the marriage, I couldn't have any property in my name, not even a car. Aaron knew I loved money, so after we got married, he gave me a credit card with no limit. He even told me to buy whatever I wanted, and that I could sell it and keep the money. That was how I was able to afford Noah's expensive medical treatments. And I had also saved up more money than I could have earned in 10 lifetimes. But I really don't like you anymore. Aaron saw that I was serious and grabbed my neck, his face dark and menacing. Iris, you'd better think this through. No other man will dare to have a woman that I've cast aside. He let go of my hand and, ignoring my violent coughing as I lay on the bed, turned and left the room. The first thing I did was rush home. I had to tell Noah that we had to leave immediately. But as soon as I opened my mouth, the door behind me was kicked open. The one who kicked the door was Aaron. I instinctively shielded Noah. Aaron's eyes were red with anger. Iris, you really were hiding someone from me. I turned to look at Noah, my eyes pleading. Can you go back to your room first? Noah looked at me, blinked, and then walked away without even glancing at Aaron. When Aaron saw him leaving, he reached out to grab him, but I stopped him. Please, let's talk outside. Aaron followed me out, breathing heavily. Iris, are you blind? A man who just hides behind a woman when there's trouble? You're into that. I looked at Aaron and gathered my courage. He's my first love. When I was in high school, some punks were bullying me. He got hurt protecting me and ended up in a vegetative state. I dropped out of school and started working to pay for his medical bills. Aaron's mouth fell open in disbelief. Doesn't he have a family? Why do you have to earn money for him? Do you think him a fool? His father died a long time ago. His mother jumped off a building and killed herself 6 months after he got hurt. When I was a kid, my dad was a violent drunk. My mom couldn't take it and left. I became the target of his abuse. If it weren't for him and his mom taking care of me since I was a child, I would have died a long time ago. Aaron, he was in a vegetative state for 10 years for me. I could spend the rest of my life repaying him, and it wouldn't be enough. Can you please let me be? I fought back the urge to cry, my body shaking with suppressed sobs. I didn't know if this would make Aaron let me and Noah go. I was gambling on his arrogance, his disdain, and the fact that he didn't really have any feelings for me, that he just thought I was clean and controllable. After all, the reason he had decided to be with me in the first place was because he had seen the red stain on the sheets after our first night together. I had seen the shock and joy in his eyes. So from then on, I had deliberately kept my distance from all other men. But Aaron's next words left me stunned. So in these 10 years, have you ever loved me? My silence was taken as a yes. He pulled me into his arms. Come with me now, and I can pretend that none of this ever happened. I'll cover all of his future medical expenses, and I'll also take care of all his expenses for the rest of his life. My heart was pounding. I told Aaron in a voice so low I could barely hear it myself. Give me some time to think. Fearing Aaron wouldn't believe me, I gave him a quick kiss. I watched him leave before I finally let out a sigh of relief. I looked at the closed door, which had never been opened, and leaned against the wall. Thinking for a long time, I thought about where Noah and I could go, how to explain my relationship with Aaron, and how to explain it in a way that he would agree to leave without waiting for his aunt. I squatted until my legs were numb and the sky was completely dark before I went back to the room. Noah was sitting by the window, looking at the stars. No one knew what he was thinking. I sat down next to him. Noah, let's go on a trip. Once we leave, we won't come back. A small smile curved Noah's lips. Okay. We didn't talk about what Aaron and I had discussed. We just talked about where we would go first, where we would go next, and whether we would take a plane or a train. Noah said he had never been on either and wanted to try both. We talked until midnight, ordered takeout, and after we were full, I fell into a deep sleep. In a daze, I thought I heard Noah talking. Iris, I miss my mom. Can we wait for her to come back before we go? I was woken up in the morning by a commotion outside. I habitually went to Noah's room to check on him, but he wasn't there. I looked out the window with a great sense of unease. Not 10 meters away, on the ground, lay Noah's bleeding body. I stumbled downstairs, and looking at him being covered with a white sheet by the paramedics, I felt as if the whole world had gone silent. I only knew that I was crying loudly, asking what had happened. I watched the person in front of me, their mouth opening and closing, but I couldn't hear a word they were saying. When I woke up again, I was in the hospital. There were police and nurses. They said Noah had fallen from a height and had died on the spot. A neighbor in the community had called the police and the ambulance. The surveillance footage also confirmed that he had climbed onto the roof himself. The police were puzzled as to why an old residential building would have surveillance cameras on the roof. A young person from the community explained that 10 years ago, someone had died, and their family had made a scene with the property management, claiming that the roof had safety hazards that had caused the person to fall. Later, the police investigated the scene and, by examining the deceased's footprints, confirmed that the person had gone to the roof with a clear purpose and had jumped without any hesitation. After that, the property management installed surveillance cameras to prevent similar incidents from happening again. It is said that the person who committed suicide 10 years ago also lived in the same building as you. What is your relationship? I was trembling all over and couldn't say a word. Noah had chosen to jump from the same place where his mother had committed suicide. It couldn't be a coincidence. In fact, back then, I had to make a scene with the property management because, on the one hand, I couldn't believe that Andy would abandon Noah, and on the other hand, because with her gone, there was no money for his medical treatment. I, looking dazed, went to the property management and asked for compensation. They looked at a little girl, both annoyed and helpless, and kept telling me that it was no use coming to them. Did I not know it was no use coming to them? But who else could I turn to? I rushed back home and searched every corner of Noah's room, but I couldn't find a single word he had left for me. He had woken up so suddenly, and then he had left so suddenly, for good. I looked around this apartment, which I had bought with my freedom and my body, and suddenly felt that my choice had been wrong. When Noah had his accident, his mother had wanted to sell this apartment immediately, but I had stopped her with all my might. She didn't know that this small apartment held a little secret of Noah's. When Noah was 8 months old, his father died from a wrong injection given by a quack doctor. The doctor was a relative of the village chief, and Noah's grandmother and family were afraid to make a fuss, so they instigated Noah's mother to do it. The money was recovered, but Noah and his mother were kicked out by his grandmother. The reason was, "You've offended the village chief. If we don't kick you out, how can our family survive in this village?" Annie took Noah and moved into this old, dilapidated apartment. As they lived there longer and longer, the home became clean and cozy. Auntie often said, "I wish we could buy this apartment one day." So, the 12-year-old Noah started working odd jobs on his way to and from school. My father was drinking every day back then and would often not come home for days. So I followed him around. We collected bottles, ran errands for others, and secretly worked as waiters in restaurants. We stopped when we entered our second year of high school, when the curriculum became more demanding. We gave the 10,000 yuan we had saved over the years to Auntie. Noah lied to his mother and said that his grandmother had given it to him. "I'm the best student in the family now, the most promising one. Grandma said that when I earn money in the future, I should be filial to her." Noah's mother held the money and cried her heart out. After all, when they were kicked out, they weren't even allowed to take a single blanket. Auntie said resentfully, "Why should the son I worked so hard to raise be filial to her in the future?" Noah smiled. Whether we're filial to her or not is up to us. Later, Noah's mother used all her money to buy this old, dilapidated apartment. But just a year after they had lived there, Noah had his accident. I clearly remember the way Noah looked when he gave the money to Auntie that year. Proud, self-assured, full of hope for the future. Auntie cried and asked me how we could save Noah if we didn't sell the house. The money she had was not enough to save him. So, I dropped out of school. Through a friend, I got a job as a waitress in a nightclub. That's where I met Aaron. He looked me up and down with amusement. So vain at such a young age. What are you saving up for? Breast implants. A group of people slapped their thighs and laughed. At that time, I had never seen such a scene. My face turned red instantly, and I tremblingly placed what they had ordered on the table and turned to leave. Aaron went there often, and every time he saw me, he would ask if I was still short of money for my breast implants and if I needed some help. I pinched my palm and asked him if I could borrow 5,000 yuan. Aaron laughed and threw open the door of the private room. I won. It turned out that from our first meeting, they had made a bet. They were betting on how long I would last before I started asking him for money. Some had bet a week, some a month, some 2 months. Only Aaron had bet correctly. He had said 3 months. That day, Aaron won several tens of thousands and, in a good mood, threw me 10,000. When I rushed to the hospital with the money, I heard the devastating news of Noah's mother's suicide. It turned out that what she had said to me that morning was her way of saying goodbye. Iris. I gave the hospital another 2,000 yuan today. That's great. Noah can live for a few more days. Iris. I really wish Noah could wake up and call me mom again. After the funeral, I hid in their apartment for several days, feeling that the future was bleak. I wanted to die, but I couldn't bear to leave this world. I wanted to let Noah die, but he would turn over. He would breathe, as if he could wake up at any moment, as if he could smile at me at any moment. I couldn't bear to let him go either. So, I had to earn money to support him. A week later, when I returned to the nightclub, Aaron was still there. I thought you'd be satisfied with that 10,000. He glanced at my chest again. Didn't get them done, what did you use the money for? I lowered my head, trying to avoid his gaze. That money, I'll pay you back. Aaron's voice became hoarse. When do you turn 18? After Noah left, I would have dreams every night. I would dream of the scene when we met again after he woke up. After 13 years, when our eyes met again, we both burst into tears. His consciousness was hazy, and his body was weak, but he recognized me at a glance. He didn't speak, but I understood his gaze. He said, Iris, don't cry. The doctor said that Noah was able to wake up, partly because of the advanced medical equipment and high-end nursing care, but most importantly, because the patient himself had a strong will to live. I naturally understood that, if it weren't for the accident that year, Noah would have successfully gotten into his dream university, then found a job he liked, and would have been able to be filial to the mother who had raised him alone, and would have been able to marry me, his childhood sweetheart. But the beautiful dreams of a young man were all ended in that dark alley by a few punks. When he was desperately holding onto their legs, he still looked at me with his blood-covered eyes. Iris, run, run. I stayed with Noah in the hospital for many days. I chattered on and on, telling him what the world outside was like. Noah wasn't very interested. His eyes, which were a little cloudy from being asleep for so long, were fixed on me. He mouthed the words, Iris, you're still so beautiful. Iris, where's my mom? Iris, I miss my mom. But how could I tell him that in the 6th month of his coma? His aunt, unable to bear the blow, had jumped off a building in the middle of the night due to depression. I held his thin hand and told him, word by word, your aunt has gone on a pilgrimage to Tibet to pray for you. Now that you've woken up, she's very happy and has decided to walk back to thank heaven for its blessing. It would take at least 2 months to walk back from Tibet. I could keep it from him for a little longer. It was finally time to tell Aaron that I was leaving. At that time, Aaron had a new girl, so I created many opportunities for them so that I could catch them in the act. The girl was eager to move up, and she did not disappoint. But I never expected that she would also contribute to the straw that broke Noah's back. The day I brought Noah home, I ran into her at the hospital. She told me proudly that Aaron had been too rough with her the night before. I've heard that you used improper means to get with Mr. Morrison in the first place. Now that you've been his wife for 10 years, you've probably made a fortune. So stop clinging to him and give me a chance. I nodded perfunctorily. We're already divorced. I hope you'll work hard. After all, I have my own life and I don't want to be disturbed by him. At that time, I was only thinking that she could keep Aaron busy, preferably by marrying him, so that Noah and I would be safe. But she thought I was mocking her. She followed me, feeling resentful. She saw Noah and even found a chance to tell him that I was a gold digger, a woman who would go with anyone for money. So when Noah asked me if I had been in a relationship after we got home, he was giving me a chance to tell him the truth. Was it at the moment I denied it that the countdown to his life began? But everything has a trigger. At Noah's funeral, Aaron appeared with a professional funeral team. He pulled me aside. I quietly watched these people carrying out Noah's funeral arrangements in a routine manner. Grand, but cold. Aaron suddenly spoke. Iris. I cut him off, because no matter what he said, I didn't want to hear it. What did you say to him? I ignored Aaron's hand on my shoulder, which was gradually tightening. I looked up at him. He had already agreed to go on a trip with me. He wouldn't have suddenly committed suicide. What did you say to him? Aaron's face was dark and gloomy. A cripple like him. Does he have the right to compete with me? Do I need to go and say anything to him? Iris. We've been together for 12 years. Do you think I would do something like that? He lowered his voice. If you don't believe me, I can help you investigate, on the condition that we get remarried first. Let me think about it. Aaron let go of his hand. I turned and walked out. I walked to a quiet place, and Chloe appeared behind me. What do you want to say? While Aaron and I were talking inside, Chloe had been standing at the door, wanting to come in but not daring to. Chloe clutched the hem of her dress. Don't remarry him. Noah was killed by him. I stared at her. What do you know? Chloe glanced around nervously and took out her phone to show me a video she had recorded. A small drone carrying a letter stopped in front of Noah's window. A small bell was hanging from it, and the sound attracted Noah to open the window. He stood by the window, opened the envelope, and took out the photos and the letter inside. The video was only 10 seconds long. I looked at Chloe, my voice trembling. When did this happen? What was in the envelope? Chloe looked around cautiously, then summoned her courage. Inside was the report of Noah's mother's suicide, and the news of your marriage to Mr. Morrison, as well as photos of you two together over the years. It was the time Mr. Morrison came to your door. We just wanted to force Noah to leave you. We never thought he would kill himself. I laughed so hard I cried. You never thought he would kill himself? A man who had been in a coma for 10 years wakes up, severely disconnected from society, to find that his mother had jumped off a building long ago because of him, and the girl he loved had long since married someone else. How strong must his mind be to choose to leave quietly and live a solitary life? Why are you telling me this? Aren't you afraid Aaron will kill you? I just don't want you to remarry. I love Mr. Morrison. I want to be with him, even if he's not willing to marry me. Seeing that I was just staring at her without saying anything, she became a little nervous. It's not like he killed your first love, and you're still willing to debase yourself and be with him, right? If you really remarry, are you worthy of Noah? I laughed out loud. Have you ever thought about why Aaron had you operate that drone? Chloe looked at me, confused. The next second, she was kicked away. The one who kicked her was Aaron, trying to drive a wedge between me and my wife Chloe. Are you tired of living? Honey, don't believe what she says. She's just trying to cause trouble between us. I took a step back. You two can sort this out yourselves. I'm leaving. Aaron's voice was deep. Wait for me. As Chloe's screams echoed behind me, I walked in the opposite direction. My final destination was the airport. Aaron would never have expected that I would choose to leave halfway through Noah's funeral, and then to leave him for good. When Aaron was beating up Chloe, the whole thing was live-streamed. At first, netizens thought it was some kind of tasteless publicity stunt, but as they watched, they realized something was wrong. So, halfway through the beating, Aaron was caught by the police. When he was pinned to the ground, netizens realized that the perpetrator was actually the heir of the Morrison family, with solid proof of the assault. The Morrison family was temporarily unable to do anything, but Chloe was lucky to have survived. The Morrison family tried to settle with her, and she agreed very decisively. She didn't want money. She just wanted Aaron to agree to one thing. So, Aaron was quickly released, and the two of them officially announced their relationship that same day. One was all smiles. The other was gloomy and cold. Seeing this news from across the ocean, I couldn't smile. I knew that with my limited abilities, I couldn't touch Aaron. But to be able to saddle him with a woman he didn't like, would that torment him for a while? It would be best if every time he saw Chloe, he would be reminded of the most humiliating stain in his life, and then he would beat her again. So, I paid some domestic social media outlets to bring this matter up from time to time. Even if they forgot over time, there would always be someone to remind them. So be it. I hope that in this life, you two will never have a moment of peace.